Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Em and welcome to my August wrap-up. It is August 31st. I never film my wrap-ups before the next month starts. Like, never. But I just happened to finish all my current reads and, well, that's a lie. I haven't finished all my current reads. I have finished the reads that it is logical and doable for me to finish before the end of today, and everything else can just wait until next month. Let me know if you like to finish all your current reads so that you are starting the new month fresh, or if you do not care if your books roll over or not. I don't really care anymore. I used to be a real structured reader. That is flying out the window so fast. But I'm excited to talk to you about the books I read this month, though I am just now realizing that I don't think I read a nonfiction. Oh, I read one. Okay, never mind. Here are the stats. If you are a person who likes stats, these are mine. So you can peruse them and kind of see what my star rating, what my average rating was, all those gory details. I was surprised that my average rating was so much higher, but I then had to remember that I did have a fair amount of 5 stars this month. Even though the majority of my books were like 3 or 3.5 star reads, those 5s are really pulling their weight. So there you go. And without further ado, let's jump in to the wrap up. Where to start? First of all, let's talk about the big thing first. I DNF'd my book that I was supposed to read in August for my year of Butler and Gaskell. I DNF'd The Life of Charlotte Bronte, which Elizabeth Gaskell wrote for her dear friend Charlotte Bronte at the request of Bronte's dad after she passed away. I got 50 pages in and I was just bored. And I think Gaskell is probably a one-hit wonder for me. I really love North and South, but the other books I've tried by her since have not been for me. I haven't been interested. I've been pretty bored. And I think I'm going to flip how I'm doing this after October, because September is going to be a Butler month and I already have my Butler book picked out. In October, I bought a book of short stories, like macabre short stories by Elizabeth Gaskell months ago, and it's relatively short, so I think I am still going to read that. And then instead of reading a Gaskell book in December, I'm just going to continue on with the Butler series that I am going to be starting in September. So I'll do 2 Butler books back to back in November and December and just be done reading Elizabeth Gaskell. I feel like I've gotten a good sample size of her work, which is really what I was going for. And I just love North and South, and I don't think the rest of her books are quite for me, unfortunately. It's a real big bummer, but I did want to talk about that because that does kind of throw a wrench into the structure of this challenge for the end of the year. So that aside, let's start with Rogue by Any Other Name by Sarah MacLean. This is a historical romance that has been sitting on my TBR for years, literally years. This is the first book in the First Rule of Scoundrels series, and this is a childhood friends to lovers, marriage of convenience, historical romance. I used to really only read historical romance. It has been my first love for years and years and years, ever since I read Jane Eyre as a 14-year-old, which we can discuss at another time. And ever since, I've just loved historical romance. And then, of course, I went from classic romances like Jane Eyre, Pride and Prejudice, into more contemporarily written historical romances, and they are just, I love them so much. And then I went through a series of like 2.5 to 3 years very recently where I couldn't read romance at all, and it was like my most read genre up until then. And I'm slowly getting back into romance. Fantasy romance has been a good bridge back into the genre, but I haven't really gone back to historical romance yet. So this was kind of my first time back, and I absolutely loved it. I gave this 4.5 stars. This is about Penelope and Michael, who grew up together and were dear friends, and through a series of events lost touch through their teenage years. And Michael, at the beginning of the book in the prologue, loses everything in a bet, all of his money, everything that's not entailed, to he's a Marquess. It's one of those, I don't know how to say it, but he's, nobility. He loses everything and then opens up one of the most famous, notorious gaming hells in London, and quickly becomes even richer than he was before, but he wants his land back. And the land ends up in Penelope's father's hands, and he puts it into her dowry. And so Michael has to marry her if he wants his land back. Anyways, I really loved Penelope in this book. I think she's a great heroine, a great main character. Michael's such a dummy, and I just kind of wanted Penelope to gut punch him the whole time. But she loved him, and I wanted Penelope to be happy, so fine. If Michael's it, then Michael's it. That's kind of how it goes with me in historical romance. If I love the heroine, you know, I will overlook a lot. I almost never think the heroes are good enough, but I do love that Sarah MacLean does a good grovel, and I do like how Sarah MacLean's historical romances, even though there's no magic, still kind of feel like a fantasy. So it was a good time. I'm so happy to be back. Sarah MacLean has been one of my favorite historical romance authors for years and years and years, so it was nice to come back into a genre I've really loved with an author I really love. And then I went out of my comfort zone at the very beginning of the month, and I read Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead by Emily Austen. I've seen this book all over the place, and this is about a woman who is a lesbian and she's an atheist, and she accidentally gets a job as a receptionist at a Catholic church. This is dark. It's funny. I haven't rated this because I don't really know what to rate it. I really hated how it made me feel because our main character has so much anxiety, and it's so well done that it made me really anxious, but I also couldn't put the book down. So it was very compelling, but also, as an anxious person, not a fun read for me. There's a lot of talk about death in this book. Obviously, our main character, what was her name? Gilda, is really caught up in, does anything mean anything if we're just gonna die when it's all said and done? And yeah, I'm curious to read more Emily Austen because, like I said, even though I didn't enjoy the way that this book made me feel, I did really like her writing, and I think I want to read more by her. I'm not quite sure where to go next, but I do want to pick up something else. And then I read a middle grade, which I haven't been reading a lot of, and I picked up a book by an author that I really love, which is great. I picked up It's All or Nothing Vale. This is by Andrea Beatriz Arango, and this is a novel in verse about a girl named Valentina who has been a champion fencing competitor, and prior to the start of the book was in a motorcycle accident and horrifically injured her leg, and is just now not done healing, but at the point post-surgery where she can start to go back to a more regular life schedule, and she wants to go back to fencing, but it looks very different. And Valentina in this book is really wrestling with if she considers herself disabled and what being disabled means for her, and what moving in through the world as someone with a disability looks like when previously you've been somebody who has been very able-bodied. And I thought this was really hard to read, really wonderful. I love the representation, and I just think Arango writes the best middle grade. I read her debut a number of years ago and absolutely loved it, and I need to read her sophomore novel next because I'm sure that will also be a 5-star. Like, every book I've read by her so far is a 5-star book. She's such a good author. Highly, highly, highly recommend her, especially if you like middle grade. My middle kid has read the same 2 books I have and absolutely loved them as well. So approval from the adult and approval from the intended audience. All right, let's get this one out of the way because this one was so disappointing. I finished up The Kindred's Curse. No, I didn't. I thought this was finishing up. I thought book 3 was the last book. It's not. There's another book. We'll get to it. So I read Heat of the Everflame by Peng Hole. I want to preface this with telling you that I loved the first 2 books. I gave them both 4 stars. I had such a fun time. I loved reading them. I loved the characters. I loved the slow burn romance. Like, I was having such a good time. So let's talk about Heat real quick. Obviously without giving any spoilers. This book is so long. It is over 800 pages, and for such a long book, everything happens and yet nothing happens. And it is so frustrating to read because I feel like Cole takes everything she told us about our main character Diem and throws it all out the window. We've spent the previous 2 books being told that DM, our main character, her stepfather is a general and has taught her strategy and how to be logical in the heat of battle, how to think ahead, how to plan, and she does none of that in this book. She is so impulsive, which she has been in the other 2 books, but it's like she keeps bringing up, oh no, he taught her strategy and how to be a logical thinker, and we're being told this, but none of her actions follow that up. Penn Cole also does something that I found really annoying in this book, where I feel like she looked around, realized there were no queer characters in her world, and tried to retcon queerness into her world. And it was so frustrating, and it's so pandering. And I just feel like if you care about having queer characters in your book, think far enough ahead to have them there from the get-go. And if you realize you don't, that's okay. You don't need to artificially insert queer characters in your book. Just leave them out, and then the next time you write a series, include queer characters there. Or introduce new characters who can be queer, but not 2 characters who we've had in all the books leading up, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, I've been gay this whole time, or oh yeah, I've been bi this whole time. And they're supposed to be really good friends with the main character. Like, how did this not come up? Especially like one of them aggressively flirts with DM the entire series. And then all of a sudden, oh no, I've been gay the whole time. Like, no. There was a non-binary character introduced, but it's just the way it was done is just clunky and pandering, and I don't like it. And I just think it would have been less insulting to just not have queer characters in this series rather than introduce them the way she did in this book. It's just so frustrating, and the ending was such bullshit. And look, I got mad enough. I don't think I'm continuing on with this series. Book 4 doesn't come out till next summer, so we'll see. Maybe if it gets really good reviews, I will be compelled to pick it up, but I will absolutely not be rereading the series beforehand, and I'm not going to be buying it. I'm not going to, nothing. It just made me so mad. So I think I'm done with the series because of that. I gave this like a 2, maybe a 2.5, but it made me so mad that she ruined her series with this book. All right, next let's talk about the nonfiction that I read, because this was a 5-star. This is You Call This Democracy by Elizabeth Rush. This is a YA nonfiction, and Rush is taking us through all the facets of our democracy and basically saying how it's supposed to work, like in other countries that have democracies, and how it works in the United States. And it's basically going through how broken our democracy is at the foundation and what would need to change to make our democracy actually function the way it's supposed to, and not this broken way it doesn't function, basically. I saw on Instagram that there was this race in LA, I think it was last week, and somebody was holding up a sign that said, "Are you running better than our government?" Anyways, either way, not good. But I thought this book was really useful. She's approached it from very nonpartisan perspective, so it's not, oh, this party is doing it right, this one's doing it wrong. It's just like, no, it's just wrong across the board. And this is what young people could do to fix it. There are action items at the end of each chapter, which I found super helpful. I wish more adult nonfiction books would put action items into the end of the chapters, because as somebody who likes a to-do list, I love that. I do feel like this might be outdated a little bit because it came out in 2020, and I feel like things have just changed so much in the last 5 years. I don't know how much some of this is still applicable. So I would love an updated version. That would be awesome. But I think this is excellent, and I think it's excellent for both teens and adults. I think a lot of adults reading this could be valuable for a lot of adults. I often feel that democracy or government or political books written for teens are also really useful for adults as well. All right, I'm so sorry to do this too. I also read Chuck Tingle's new book, Lucky Day, and this was okay. It's not my favorite Chuck Tingle horror. This is about, can't remember anybody's name, Vera, who is a statistics and probability professor. And at the beginning of the book, she's at the celebratory brunch for her book that's about to be published. She tries to come out as bi to her mom. It goes horribly. And in the midst of that argument, all these chaotic, deadly, horrific things start happening. There's a chimpanzee is running around killing people with a typewriter. There's pigs wearing masks. There's fish slamming through windshields and killing drivers instantly. It's like horrific and ridiculous, and a ton of people die. And then we fast forward, and this event happened all over the world, and it's referred to as the low probability event. And Vera is not thriving. She is very much barely surviving. She has no ties with anybody anymore. She just has gone full hermit, lives in the house, orders ramen off the internet. And a government agent shows up at her door and asks her to help him investigate this casino in Vegas that is having people are having incredible luck when they go gamble at it, like suspiciously high luck. And I didn't love a lot of this book. I think having a main character who is a government agent was not the vibe for the summer of 2025. I feel like if this had come out last year, it probably wouldn't have bothered me, but this year, it was just not my favorite. I think Bury Your Gaze is definitely my favorite of his horror so far, followed by Camp Damascus, and then this one comes up third. I'm debating whether or not I'm going to this. I have his other two books. I don't know if I want to keep this one as well, but I think if you didn't care for his other two books, like definitely try this one out because it does have a very different tone and the horror is very light. Like it starts off really intense, but then it really pulls back. And there were multiple times through the middle of this, I kind of forgot I was reading a horror book because nothing horrific happens. There is an element in this book that I'm not going to tell you what it is because it would be a spoiler, but I've just found that that type of horror doesn't usually work for me. So good for me to know moving forward because I wasn't quite sure whether or not I would like that element or if that element in horror worked for me. And now because I've read 2 books of that element this summer, I know that it doesn't. So yeah, sorry that's so vague, but if you haven't picked this up yet, I feel like that's kind of a twist and I don't want to spoil it for anybody. All right, let's talk about a book I really liked. Trying to alternate them a little bit. I read Blood in the Water by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is her foray into middle grade thrillers, and this is about a girl who goes to Martha's Vineyard to stay with family friends for the summer, and there is a murder. And yeah, I thought this was kind of slow to get going, but once the action kicked in about halfway, it was so good. This is kind of an infuriating book to read because our main character encounters a lot of microaggressions and macroaggressions on Martha's Vineyard, but there are some nods to Jaws, which I thought was really fun, and I just love Tiffany D. Jackson's writing and her character work, and even though it made my blood boil to see how our main character was treated, I had such a good time with the action, and once the action picks up, it was so fast paced. So yeah, I really liked it. And then I was able to finish up my Saga Press, what was this called? Double feature of the Stephen Graham Jones novellas. I read Babysitter Lives in July, and then I got to Killer on the Road this month. This one is about a girl who is running away from home, and she's decided to hitchhike, and her 3 best friends, well, her 2 best friends, her ex-boyfriend, and then her little sister end up picking her up off the side of the road, and then they are being chased by a serial killer. Yeah. So this one is pretty intense. A lot of gore, a lot of it's pretty vicious. It reminded me a lot of Don't Fear the Reaper, just in how quickly the kills start, how brutal they are. I didn't love the ending for this. I wanted more answers than we got, but I did really like this, and I kind of struggle with Stephen Graham Jones. He can be really hit or miss for me, but I feel like this whole double feature is really successful because I did like this one, and I really like The Babysitter Lives. I think this is my second favorite Stephen Graham Jones now. But yeah, I also really like the audiobook for this, and I don't know, I think this is so fun that they're doing this now. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh, let's talk about another horror. Let's talk about Your Shadow Half Remains by Sunny Moraine. This was wild. I'm not going to tell you too much because I went in just knowing like one thing, like a one sentence setup, and watching it unravel was so interesting. It was like the highlight of reading for me. So I'm just gonna tell you, we're following a main character set in this world. It's like our world, but there has been a pandemic in this world, but this pandemic is spread through eye contact. And the people who have it start killing people. So like that's all I'm gonna tell you. And yeah, it was surprising, but I really liked it. I liked the writing. I like the character work. I like the journey our main character went on. And I just thought Sunny Moraine nailed the loneliness of a pandemic so well. Okay, let's talk about the last book I don't have a physical copy of, just so I don't forget it. I also read Creepy Cat Volume 1. This is by Cotton Valent. And this is about this girl who lives in this house, and this cat appears on her doorstep and does creepy things. And it was funny, and it was lighthearted, and it was kind of no thoughts had empty reading experience. I don't think I'm going to continue on in the series because it's definitely not for me. But my oldest bought it and absolutely loved it, and I'm glad I read it so then I could talk to my oldest about it. All right, let's talk about the other disappointing book and just get it out of the way. I finally read Metal from Heaven by August Clark, which is one of my most anticipated reads for last year, most anticipated new releases, and I gave it a 3.25. It's heartbreaking. I've figured out this summer that fever dream books are not for me. And this is very fever dreamy because our main character, Marnie, is allergic to this. It can be used as a metal. It's called ichorite. It's a substance or a mineral or a thing that is used in this fantasy world. And Marnie is allergic to it. And when she touches it, she hallucinates. And having a main character where we're in her head, it's first person POV, and having a character where you are never quite sure if it's really if what's happening is really happening or she's hallucinating is tough for me as a reader. I don't particularly enjoy that. I also felt like the pacing for this was off, and I'm so bummed. I'm so bummed because I really love August Clark and I want to, like, I was so excited that he was coming into an adult space. This just wasn't quite what I wanted it to be. I think I want it to be angrier. But I wanted it to be a focused rage, and because Marnie hallucinates so much because this substance ichorite is in everything. So because she's hallucinating so much, she feels unfocused a lot of the time. And I really wanted like focused rage, you know? Yeah, like I said, I gave it 3.25. I'm so upset about it. If you want to hear me bemoan it more, you can watch my last vlog because I definitely like went through it and tried to finish this book. Oh, all right. You'll be so happy. I did finally circle back and read the book that I meant to read. In July, I picked up Temple Alley Summer, thinking it was The Village Beyond the Mist and not realizing I had the wrong book until halfway through. So this is the inspiration for Spirited Away, and it was very different than Spirited Away, like very much inspired by, not a retelling. So less like Howl's Moving Castle or Kiki's Delivery Service, which I feel like are more adaptations, whereas this just like sparked an inspiration for a story. But we're following a girl named Lena who ends up in this mountain town kind of by accident, and she is staying in this boarding house, and in the boarding house you have to earn your board. And so she goes and helps out at the various businesses in the small town. She helps out at the bookstore, at the, I guess it would be like an antique store, at the, was it a candy store? Oh, toy store. Anyways, and it's just about Lena learning these lessons, meeting these people. And these chapters are almost vignettes because she's at helping out at a different business. And you can see which characters were pulled for Spirited Away. And yeah, it was cute, lighthearted. I think I gave it like a 3. I'm probably not going to remember it in a year, but it was a cute time. I don't know, low stress, low stakes, which, you know, I kind of needed. All right, and one of my most surprising books of this month was The Hounding by Zenobi Purvis. I got this from Aardvark Book Club, and I wasn't so sure about this. I didn't love the choices for Aardvark for August, but I read the synopsis and then it kept sticking to my brain, so I thought I'd give it a try, and I'm so glad I did because I actually really enjoyed it. This is about, well, it's historical fiction. It takes place in this little English village, and it's about 5 sisters who the villagers start to believe are turning into dogs, but you never get a perspective from the sisters. You're bouncing back and forth between 5 other villagers and their perspective of the girls and what is happening. I think I gave this like a 4 or 3.75. I didn't love the very, very end. There was a thing like on the last page that I think I would have liked the book better if that thing hadn't happened, because I would have liked, because it changed the perception that I had of what was happening in a way that I found less interesting than the perception I already had. But I really liked the writing, and I liked the themes and the exploration of like groupthink and rumors and what happens when people just lie just because they feel like lying. And yeah, this is her debut, and I'm really interested in reading more from her, from whatever she publishes next. I did reread a book this month, which was such a good choice because I reread Godkiller by Hannah Kaner, and this was a 5-star book for me when I read it last year, and it is still a 5-star book. This is the start of a fantasy series, which I can't remember the name of. She's not very chunky, but man, let me tell you, this has so many things that I love in fantasy books. We have 4 main perspectives, and our main character is Kissin, and she is a god killer. So gods and the worship of gods have been outlawed in this land, and so it is Kissin's job to go and break shrines and destroy shrines, because a lot of the gods' power comes from their shrines. And she ends up teaming up with this 12-year-old girl named Inara, who has somehow become tethered to this god of white lies named Skedi, and they start to go on a journey to figure out how to uncouple Inara and Skedi. And then along the way they meet a former knight named Elogast and like form this really lovely, like not quite a found family. I mean, not yet in this book, but like that's what we're working towards. And Kissin is my favorite type of main character, where she is emotionally closed off, very gruff, very prickly because of past experiences, and her relationship with these 3 other people start the process of, you know, being a full person again. I don't know, but I just love this book. Has such good queer rep. Like, this is how you do a good queer rep in fantasy books, in my opinion. It also has really great disability rep. I think the writing is beautiful. I love the world building. I love the characters. Like, this is a 5-star book for me, and I just absolutely adored rereading it and being back in this world and back with these characters and watching Kissin and Elogast and Inara learn to trust each other was so good. And yes, I've already started rereading book 2, and I'm just having the best time. And then since the movie for this book came out this weekend, I decided to read the book so that I could watch the movie. I kind of regret that choice. I wish I had just watched the movie and then read the book, but I read Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman, and this is a cozy mystery where our 4 main characters are elderly people who live in this retirement community, and they like to meet once a week to solve cold cases, but then there is a real murder, and they decide to solve it with some help from the police. And I like the writing in this. I did like the 4 main characters. I didn't love all the execution of this. I liked it a lot in the first half. I didn't love it in the second half. I felt like there were a lot of things that were being solved. Like there's more than one mystery in this book, and it did feel unnecessarily convoluted towards the end, but the chapters are short. It was really easy to read, really easy to pick up and keep reading once I finished a chapter. I think I gave it like a 3.5. I'm definitely going to continue on with the series because I have heard that this is the weakest book of the series, and each book just gets better and better. So I already have a hold on the audiobook for book 2 because I've also heard the audiobooks are really good. I did really like the humor in this. It's very very dry, sarcastic. It's got a really light hand. I do think the structure of this worked very, very well for me, and I'm excited to continue on and read more. But I did not have a good time with the movie, if you want a unsolicited movie review as well. And then this one was not on my TBR or on my radar, but I needed a book to fulfill a prompt for a full moon readathon, and this one kind of fit in, so it just, and I hadn't read an Emily Carroll yet, and it felt like it was time. I read A Guest in the House. This is about a woman who has just gotten married, and her new husband has some secrets in his past, and has an ex, well, not an ex-wife, has been married previously, and that wife has passed away, and they have a daughter, and the new wife becomes obsessed with the previous wife, and it's very creepy. I loved the illustrations. I loved how Emily Carroll used color in this, and I will definitely pick up another graphic novel from Emily Carroll because I thought this was really well done. I forget what I gave it. I think I might have given it a 4. Ooh, don't fall over. And then the last book no, I have one more book. Where did that go? Oh, I put it away. That was a mistake. We have 2 more books to talk about. I read The Memory of the Ojisi by Moses Osei Utomi. This is the final book in the Forever Desert trilogy, which is a series that I just love to talk about. I don't feel like enough people read it. It starts with The Lies of the Ijongo. It's so good. So good. So underrated. And this wrapped up the novella series so far. They could be considered standalones, but you do need to read them in order. I finished this and immediately wanted to go back and reread the whole trilogy for the way he tied it up at the end and connected all the stories. And yeah, this whole series is about oppression and the lies that the oppressors tell people to remain in power, and how even the best of intentions will not keep power from corrupting a person. And they're so good. I love the writing. I love the world building. I love the characters. I love the commentary. It's just so good. I highly recommend. All right, now the last book we're going to talk about is the Volume 8 of Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe. This is the most recent edition of Lore Olympus, and I gave this like a 4.5. I really love this. Of course, we're just continuing on where we left off in Volume 7, and I loved the first half of this so much. The first half of this is a lot of Hades and Persephone, and then in the second half we get more into picking up the plot that was left off in Volume 7, but my hierarchy for Lore Olympus is the more Hades and Persephone are together, the more I love that particular volume. So when it's just the 2 of them together, oh, I'm in heaven. It's so good. It's my like their dynamic with each other. They are so sweet and thoughtful and considerate of each other, and their romance is just the best. But I am a sucker for a Hades and Persephone story. I will admit that. So I think probably my personal bar is really low as far as that like retelling is concerned, just because I love that dynamic and I eat it up with a spoon, and I don't care that the original myth is problematic. I don't. I'm so sorry. It's my red flag or my orange flag, or I just love this story so much, and I really like this retelling. I will say I felt like we have a few too many characters. I could really use a character glossary in the back, because I feel like we have a lot of gods and demigods and just characters, and sometimes they don't show up for a while. And because I'm not rereading these, when we do get a character in who hasn't been in for a while, I've totally forgotten who they are and why they matter. So not that Rachel Smythe is watching this or looking for constructive criticism, but just like a character glossary in the back with just their name and like, I don't know, maybe like a 1-sentence thing just to jog my memory about some of these people, because some of them are a little bit forgettable or kind of blend in with other characters, and I have trouble differentiating. So I just hold my hand just a little bit. I just need it a little bit. But I absolutely love the series. Like, I love the art. Like I said, I love the romance, and I'm here for when these 2 kids can finally be together. Maybe someday. Maybe in Volume 9. That would be great. We're getting so close. We're almost there. I can feel it. Okay. And that is all 18 books that I read in the month of August. I feel like in hindsight, now looking at all the books and having talked about all the books, it was an okay reading month. There were a fair amount of books that I really loved, but there were also a fair amount that were just kind of like meh. And having 2 really disappointing books was rough. It was rough. I still, my feelings are still a little bit hurt by not liking Little from Heaven as much as I thought I was going to. And I am mad at Pencil, if I'm being honest. Because, yeah, Heat of the Everflame made me mad. And it is not just me, because one of my really, really good friends started reading it right after I had finished it and was texting me her reactions, and her reactions were all my reactions. So it's not just me. And a cliffhanger ending will not save you if the rest of your book does not live up to that cliffhanger. So, with that, we're gonna wrap up this wrap up. If you would like to leave an emoji to let me know you were here, let's do a tree emoji, because I feel like there are a lot of trees on the covers of these various books. And like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll talk to y'all in the next one. Bye!